based on one woman's story, although the subject came up in nearly every interview and was often fraught. The subject being hair. You cannot love a vagina unless you love hair. Most people do not love hair. My first and only husband hated hair. He said it was cluttered and dirty. He made me shave my vagina. It looked puffy and exposed and like a little girl. This excited him. When he made love to me, my vagina felt the way a beard must felt. It felt good to rub it and painful, like scratching a mosquito bite. It felt like it was on fire. There were screaming red bumps. I refused to shave again. Then my husband had an affair. When we went to marital therapy, he said he screwed around because I wouldn't please him sexually. I wouldn't shave my vagina. The therapist had a German accent and gasped between sentences to show her empathy. She asked me why I didn't want to please my husband. I told her I thought it was weird. I felt little with all my hair gone down there, and I couldn't help talking in a baby voice. And the skin was so irritated, even calamine lotion wouldn't soothe it. She told me marriage was a compromise. I asked her if me shaving my vagina would stop him from screwing around. I asked her if she had many cases like this before. She told me that questions diluted the process. I needed to jump in. She was sure it was a good beginning. This time, when we got home, he got to shave my vagina. It was like a therapy bonus prize. He clipped it a few times and there was a little blood in the bathtub. He didn't even notice! He was so happy shaving me. Then later, when my husband was pressing against me, I could feel his spiky sharpness sticking into me, my naked, puffy vagina. I realized then that hair is there for a reason. There was no protection. There was no fluff. Hair is the leaf around the flower, the lawn around the house. You cannot pick the parts you want. You have to love hair in order to love a vagina. And besides, my husband never did stop sleeping around.
All the women were asked the following questions.
If your vagina got dressed, what would it wear?
Glasses, a beret, a leather jacket, silk stockings, mink, a pink boa.
A male tuxedo, jeans, something form-fitting.
Emeralds, an evening gown, sequins.
Armani only.
A tutu, see-through black underwear, a taffeta ball gown.
Something machine washable.
Costume eye mask, purple velvet pajamas, angora, a red bow.
Ermine and pearls, a leopard hat, a silk kimono, sweatpants, a tattoo.
An electrical shock device to keep unwanted strangers away.
High heels, lace and combat boots, purple feathers, twigs and shells, cotton,
A pinafore,
A bikini.
a slicker.
If your vagina could talk, what would it say? 2 words.
Slow
down.
Is that you?
Feed me. I want yum yum. Oh yeah.
Start again. No, over there. Lick me. Stay home. Brave choice.
Think again. More, please. Embrace me. Let's play.
Don't stop. More, more. Remember me.
Come inside. Not yet. Whoa, mama. Yes, yes. Rock me.
Enter at your own risk.
Oh, God. Thank God. I'm here. Let's go. Find me.
Thank you. Bonjour. Too hard. Don't give up.
Where's Brian? That's better. Yes, there.
A group of women between the ages of 65 and 75 were interviewed. These interviews were the most poignant, possibly because most of these women had never had a vagina interview before. One woman, who was 72, had never even seen her vagina. She washed herself in the shower and bath, but never with conscious intention. She had never had an orgasm. At 72, she went into therapy, and with the help of her therapist, she went home one afternoon by herself, lit some candles, took a bath, played some music, and she got down with herself. She said it took her over an hour because she was arthritic, but she said when she found her clitoris, she cried. This monologue is for her.
The flood. Down there? I haven't been down there since 1953. No, it had nothing to do with Eisenhower. No, it's a cellar down there. It's very damp. Clammy, you don't want to go down there. Trust me. You get sick, suffocating, very nauseating. The smell of clamminess and the mildew and everything. Whew! Smells unbearable. It gets in your clothes. No, there was no accident down there. It didn't blow up or catch on fire or anything. It wasn't so dramatic. I mean, well, never mind. No, never mind. I can't talk to you about this. What's a smart girl like you going around talking to old ladies about their down theirs for? We didn't do this kind of thing when I was a girl. But, Jesus, okay. There was this boy, Andy Lefkoff. He was cute. Well, I thought so. And tall like me, and I really liked him. He asked me out for a date in his car. I can't tell you this. I can't do this. Talk about down there. You just know it's there, like the cellar. There's rumbles down there sometimes. You can hear pipes and things get caught down there, little animals and things. And it gets wet. And sometimes people have to come and plug up the leaks. Otherwise, the door stays closed. You forget about it. I mean, it's part of the house, but you do not see or think about it. It has to be there though, because every house needs a cellar. Otherwise, the bedroom would be in the basement. Oh, Andy Lefkoff. Right. Andy was very good looking. He was a catch. That's what we called it in my day. We were in his car, a new white Chevy Bel Air. I remember thinking that my legs were too long for the seat. I have long legs. They were smushed up against the dashboard. I was looking at my big kneecaps when he just kissed me in surprisingly take me by control like they do in the movies kind of way. And I got excited. So excited, and well, there was a flood down there. I couldn't control it. It was like this force of passion, this river of life just flooded out of me, right through my panties, right onto the car seat of his new white Chevy Bel Air. It wasn't pee, and it wasn't smelly, Well, frankly, I didn't smell anything at all. But Andy said that it smelled like sour milk and it was staining his car seat. I was a stinky weird girl, he said. I wanted to explain that his kiss had caught me off guard, and I wasn't normally like this. I tried to wipe up the flood with my dress. It was a new yellow primrose dress, and it looked so ugly with the flood on it. Andy drove me home without saying another word, and when I got out and closed his car door, I closed the whole store. Locked it, never opened for business again. I dated some after that, but the idea of flooding made me too nervous. I never even got close again. I used to have dreams. Crazy dreams. Oh, they're dopey. Why? Burt Reynolds. I don't know why. He never did much for me in life. But in my dreams, it was always Burt and I, Burt and I, Burt and I. It was always the same general dream. We'd be out, Burt and I. It was some restaurant like the kind you see in Atlantic City, all big with chandeliers and stuff, and thousands of waiters with the vests. Burt would give me an orchid corsage, and I'd pin it on my blazer. We'd laugh. We were always laughing, Burt and I. Laughing, laughing. We'd eat shrimp cocktail, huge shrimp, fabulous shrimp. We'd laugh more. We were very happy together. Then he looked into my eyes and pulled me to him in the middle of the restaurant. And just as he was about to kiss me, the whole restaurant would start to shake. Pigeons would fly out from under the tables. I don't know what pigeons were doing there. And the flood would pour out of me. It would pour and pour. There would be little fish inside it and little boats, and the whole restaurant would fill with my blood. And Burt would be standing waist deep in it, looking horribly disappointed that I had done it again. Horrified as he watched his friends, Dean Martin and the like, swim past us in their tuxedos and evening gowns. I don't have those dreams anymore. Not since they took away just about everything connected with down there. Moved out the uterus, the tubes, the whole works. My doctor thought he was being funny. He told me if you don't use it, you'll lose it. But really, I found out it was cancer. Everything around it had to go. Who needs it anyway? Highly overrated. I've done other things. I love dog shows. I sell antiques. You asked me what would it wear? What kind of question is that? What would it wear? It would wear a big sign, closed due to flooding. What would it say? I told you, it's not a person who speaks. It's stopped being a thing that talked a long time ago. And it's a place you don't go. It's closed up under the house. It's down there. You happy? You made me talk. You got it out of me. You got an old lady to talk about her down there. Do you feel better now? You know, actually, you're the first person I ever told about this, and I feel a little better.
Vagina workshop. My vagina is a shell, a round pink tender shell, opening and closing, closing and opening. My vagina is a flower, an eccentric tulip, the center acute and deep, the scent delicate, the petals gentle but sturdy. I did not always know this. I learned this in the Vagina workshop. I learned this from a woman who runs the Vagina workshop, a woman who believes in vaginas, who really sees vaginas, who helps other women see their own vaginas by seeing other women's vaginas. In the first session, the woman who runs the workshop asked us to draw a picture of our own unique, beautiful, fabulous vagina. That's what she called it. She wanted to know what our own unique, beautiful, fabulous vagina looked like to us. One woman who was pregnant drew a big red mouth screaming with coins spilling out. Another very skinny woman drew a big serving plate with a kind of Devonshire pattern on it. I drew a huge black dot with little squiggly lines around it. The black dot was to equal a black hole in space, and the squiggly lines were meant to be people or things or just your basic atoms that got lost there. I had always thought of my vagina as an anatomical vacuum, randomly sucking up particles and objects from the surrounding environment. I did not think of my vagina in practical or biological terms. I did not, for example, see it as something attached to me. In the workshop, we were asked to look at our vaginas with hand mirrors. Then, after careful examination, we were to verbally report back to the group what we saw. I must tell you that up until this point, everything I knew about my vagina was based on hearsay or invention. I had never really seen the thing. It had never occurred to me to look at it. My vagina existed for me on some abstract plane. It seemed so reductive and awkward looking at it, like we were in the workshop on our shiny blue mats with our hand mirrors. It reminded me of how the early astronomers must have felt with their primitive telescopes. I found it quite unsettling at first, my vagina. Like the first time you see a fish cut open, you discover this other bloody complex world inside, right under the skin. It was so raw, so red, so fresh. And the thing that surprised me the most were all the layers. Layers inside layers, opening into more layers. My vagina amazed me. I couldn't speak when it came my turn in the workshop. I was speechless. I had awakened to what the woman who ran the workshop called vaginal wonder. I just wanted to lay there on my mat, my legs spread, examining my vagina forever. It was better than the Grand Canyon, ancient and full of grace. It had the innocence and freshness of a proper English garden. It was funny, very funny. It made me laugh. It could hide and seek and open and close. Then the woman who ran the workshop asked how many women in the workshop had orgasms. 2 women tentatively raised their hands. I didn't raise my hand, but I had orgasms. I didn't raise my hand because they were accidental orgasms. They happened to me. I had orgasms, but I didn't know how to make one happen. They happened in my dreams, and I would wake in splendor. They happened a lot in the water, mostly in the bath, once in Cape Cod. They happened on horses, on bicycles, sometimes at the treadmill at the gym. I did not raise my hand because although I had orgasms, I didn't know how to make one happen. I thought it was a magical, mystical thing. I didn't want to interfere. It felt wrong getting involved, contrived, manipulative. It felt Hollywood. The surprise would be gone, and the mystery. The problem, of course, was that the surprise had been gone for 2 years. I hadn't had a magical, accidental orgasm in a long time, and I was frantic. That's why I was in the vagina workshop. Then the moment had arrived that I had both dreaded and longed for. The woman who ran the workshop asked us to take out our hand mirrors again to see if we could locate our clitoris. We were there, the group of us women, on our backs, on our mats, searching for our spots, our locus, our reason. I don't know why, but I started crying. Maybe it was sheer embarrassment. Maybe it was knowing that I had to give up the fantasy, the enormous life-consuming fantasy that someone or something was going to do this for me. The fantasy that someone was coming to lead my life, to choose direction, to give me orgasms. I could feel the panic coming, the simultaneous terror and realization that I had avoided finding my clitoris and had rationalized it as mainstream and consumerist because I was in fact terrified that I did not have a clitoris, terrified that I was one of those constitutionally incapables, one of those frigid, dead, shut down, dry, apricot-tasting, bitter, oh my God. I lay there with my mirror looking for my spot, reaching with my fingers, and all I could think about was a time when I was 10 and I lost my gold ring with emeralds in the lake, how I kept diving over and over and over to the bottom of the lake, running my hands over the stones and fish and bottle caps and slimy stuff, but never my ring. The panic I felt. I knew I'd be punished. The woman who ran the workshop saw my insane scrambling, sweating, and heavy breathing. She came over. I told her, it's gone, I've lost my clitoris, I shouldn't have worn swimming. The woman who ran the workshop laughed. She calmly stroked my forehead. She told me my clitoris was not something I could lose. It was me, she said, the essence of me. It was both the doorbell to my house and the house itself. I didn't have to find it. I had to be it. Be it. Be my clitoris. I laid back and I closed my eyes. I put the mirror down and I watched myself floating above myself. I watched as I slowly began to approach myself and re-enter. I felt like an astronaut re-entering the surface of the earth. It was very quiet, this re-entry. Quiet and gentle. I bounced and landed and bounced. I came into my own muscles and blood and cells, and then I slid into my vagina. It was very easy and I fit. I was all warm and pulsing and young and alive, and then without looking, with my eyes still closed, I put my finger on what had suddenly become me. Then the quivering became a quake, an eruption, the layers dividing and subdividing, the quaking broken open into an ancient of horizon and light and silence, which opened onto a plane of music and colors and innocence and longing, and I felt connection, calling connection as I lay there thrashing about on my little blue mat. My vagina is a shell, a tulip, a destiny. I am arriving as I am beginning to leave. My vagina me.
Here is a happy vagina fact. This is from Women in Intimate Geography by Natalie and Jay. The clitoris is pure in purpose. It is the only organ designed purely for pleasure. The clitoris is simply a bundle of nerves, 8,000 nerve fibers to be precise. That is more nerve fibers than found anywhere else in the human body, including fingertips, lips, and tongue. And it is twice that of the penis. Who needs a handgun when you got a semi-automatic?
This monologue is based on an interview with a woman who had a good experience with a man.
Because he liked to look at it. This is how I came to love my vagina. It's embarrassing because it's not politically correct. I mean, I know how it should have happened, in a bath with salt grains from the Dead Sea, and you playing me loving my woman self. I know the story. Vaginas are beautiful. Our self-hatred is only the internalized repression and hatred of the patriarchal culture. It isn't real. I know all of it. Like, if we've grown up in a culture where we were taught fat thighs were beautiful, we'd all be pounding down milkshakes and Krispy Kremes, lying on our backs, spending our days thigh spanding. But we didn't grow up in that culture. I hated my thighs, and I hated my vagina even more. I thought it was incredibly ugly. I was one of those women who had looked at it, and from that moment on, I wish I hadn't. It made me sick. I pitied anyone who had to go down there. In order to survive, I began to pretend there was something else between my legs. I imagined furniture, cozy futons with light cotton comforters, little velvet settees. leopard rugs, or pretty things like silk handkerchiefs, quilted pot holders, or place settings. I got so accustomed to this that I lost all memory of having a vagina. Whenever a man was inside me, I pictured him inside a mink-lined muffler or a Chinese bowl. Then I met Bob. Bob was the most ordinary man I have ever met. He was thin and tall and nondescript and wore khaki tan clothes. Bob did not like spicy foods or listen to Prince. He had no interest in sexy lingerie. In the summertime, he spent time in the shade. He did not share his inner feelings. He did not have any problems or issues and was not even an alcoholic. He wasn't very funny or articulate or mysterious. He wasn't mean or unavailable. He wasn't self-involved or charismatic. He didn't drive fast. I didn't particularly like Bob. I would have missed him altogether if he hadn't picked up my change that I dropped on the deli floor. When he handed me my quarters and pennies back, his hand accidentally touched mine, and something happened. I went to bed with him. That's when the miracle occurred. Turned out that Bob loved vaginas. He was a connoisseur. He loved the way they felt, the way they tasted, the way they smelled. But most importantly, he loved the way they looked. He had to look at them. The first time we had sex, he told me he had to see me. I'm right here, Bob, I said. No, you, I have to see you. Turn on the light, I said, thinking he was a weirdo and freaking out in the dark. He turned on the light. Then he said, okay, I'm ready to see you. Right here, I waved, I'm right here. Then he began to undress me. What are you doing, Bob? I said. I need to see you, he said. No need, I said, just do it. I need to see what you look like, he said. But you've seen a red leather couch before. Bob continued. He would not stop. I wanted to throw up and die. This is awfully intimate, I said. Can't you just do it? No, he said. I need to look at who you are. I held my breath. He looked and looked. He got breathy and his face changed. He didn't look ordinary anymore. He looked like a hungry beast. You're so beautiful, he said. You're elegant and deep and innocent and wild. You saw that there, I said. It was like he read my palm. I saw that there and much, much more. He stayed looking for almost an hour, as if he were studying a map, observing the moon, staring into my eyes. But it was my vagina. In the light, I watched him looking at me, and he was so genuinely excited, so peaceful and euphoric. I began to get wet and turned on. I began to see myself the way he saw me. I began to feel beautiful and delicious, like a great painting or a waterfall. Bob wasn't afraid. He wasn't grossed out. I began to swell and to feel proud. I began to love my vagina. And Bob lost himself there. And I was there with him, in my vagina. And we were gone.
This is a not-so-happy vagina fact. This was found in the 2005 UNICEF report, Female Genital Mutilation and Cutting, a statistical exploration. Female genital mutilation is inflicted on 130 million girls and young women. In the 28 countries where it is practiced, mostly in Africa, about 3 million girls a year can expect a knife or a glass shard or a razor to cut their clitoris or remove it completely. In a male, this is the equivalent of amputating most of the penis to removal of all the penis. Short-term results include tetanus, hemorrhages, cuts in the urethra, bladder, vaginal wall. Long-term include chronic uterine infection, agony and danger during childbirth, and early deaths.
My vagina's angry. It is. It's pissed off. My vagina's furious and it needs to talk. It needs to talk about all this shit. It needs to talk to you. I mean, what's the deal? An army of people out there thinking of ways to torture my poor ass, gentle, loving vagina. Spending their days constructing psycho products and nasty ideas to undermine my pussy. Vagina motherfuckers. All this shit they're constantly trying to shove up us, clean us up, stuff us up, make it go away. Well, my vagina's not going away. It's pissed off and it's staying right here. I mean, like, tampons. What the hell is that? A dry wad of fucking cotton stuffed up there? Why can't they find a way to subtly lubricate the tampon? My vagina sees it and it goes into shock. It says, forget it. It closes up. You need to work with my vagina. Introduce it to new things. Prepare the way. That's what foreplay is all about. You need to convince my vagina, seduce my vagina, engage my vagina's trust. You can't do that with the dry wad of fucking cotton. Stop shoving things up me. Stop shoving and cleaning it up. My vagina doesn't need to be cleaned up. It smells good already. Don't try to decorate. Don't believe them when he tells you that it should smell like rose petals, when it's supposed to smell like pussy. Stop trying to clean it up. That's what they're doing, trying to make it smell like a bathroom spray or a garden. All those douche sprays. Floral, berry, rain. I don't want my pussy to smell like rain. All cleaned up and washed like cleaning a fish after you've cooked it. I want to taste the fish. That's why I ordered it. And then there's those exams. Who thought them up? There has got to be a better way to do those exams. Like, what's with this scary paper dress that scratches your tits and crunches when you lie down so you feel like a wad of paper someone threw away? Why the rubber gloves? Why the flashlight all up there like Nancy Drew working against gravity? Why the Nazi steel stirrups? The mean cold duck lips they shove up there? What's that? My vagina's angry about those visits. It gets defended weeks in advance. It won't go out of the house. And then you get there. Don't you hate that? Scoot down. Relax your vagina. Why? So you can shove some mean cold duck lips inside of it? I don't think so. I don't think so. Why can't they find some nice, delicious purple velvet to wrap around me? Lay me down on some feathery cotton spread. Put on some nice, friendly pink or blue gloves. Rest my legs in some, fur-covered stirrups. Warm up the duck lips. Work with my vagina. But no. More tortures. Dry water fucking cotton. Cold duck lips. And thong underwear. That's the worst. Thong underwear. Moves around all the time. Gets stuck in the back of your crusty butt. Vaginas need to be loose and wide, not held together. That's why girdles are so bad. We need to move and spread and talk and talk. We need comfort. Make something like that. No, of course they won't do something like that. Hate to see a woman having pleasure, particularly sexual pleasure. I mean, make a nice pair of soft cotton underwear with a French tickler built in. Women would be coming all day long. Coming in the supermarkets, coming on the subway, coming happy vaginas. They wouldn't be able to stand it. Seeing all those energetic, not taking shit, hot, happy vaginas. If my vagina could talk, it would talk about itself, like me. It would talk about other vaginas. It would do vagina impressions. It would wear Harry Winston diamonds. No clothes, just there, all draped in diamonds. My vagina helped release a giant baby. It thought it would be doing more of that. It's not. Now it wants to travel. It doesn't want to let a company. Wants to read and know things and get out more. It wants sex. It loves sex. It wants to go deeper. It's hungry for depth. It wants kindness. It wants change. It wants silence and freedom and gentle kisses and warm liquids and deep touch. It wants chocolate. It wants to scream. It wants to stop being angry. It wants to come. It wants to want. It wants my vagina. My vagina. Well, it wants everything.
Bosnian women refugees were interviewed during the war in Yugoslavia, in refugee camps and centers. 20 to 70,000 women were raped in the middle of Europe as a systematic tactic of war. It was shocking to see how little people did to stop it. But then again, in the United States, every 98 seconds, a person is sexually assaulted or raped. And according to the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, every 11 minutes, that person is a child, which is a different kind of war. This monologue is based on one woman's story. We do it tonight for that woman and the extraordinary women and people of Bosnia and Kosovo.
vagina was green water, soft pink fields, cow mooing, sun resting, sweet boyfriend touching lightly with soft piece of blonde straw. There is something between my legs. I do not know what it is, I do not know where it is, I do not touch. Not now. Not anymore. Not since. My vagina was chatty. So much words, trying, talking, can't quit saying, can't quit trying. Oh yes. Oh yes. Not since I dreamed there's dead animals sewn down there with thick black fishing line. And the bad dead animal scent cannot be removed. And its throat is slit and bleeds through all of my summer dresses. My vagina singing all girl songs, all goat songs, all wild autumn field songs, vagina songs, vagina home songs. Not since the soldiers put a long, thick rifle inside me. So cold, the steel rod canceling my heart. Not sure if they're going to fire it or shove it through my spinning brain. 6 of them. Monstrous doctors with black masks shoving bottles at me too. They were sticks and the end of a broom. My vagina. Alive, wet water village. Not since I heard the skin tear and made lemon screeching sounds. Not since a piece of my vagina came off in my hand. A part of the lip. One side of lip completely gone. My vagina swimming river water, clean spilling water over sun-baked stones, over stone clit stones, over and over. Not since they took turns for 7 days, smelling like feces and smoked meat. I became a river of poison and pus, and all of the crops died, and the fish. My vagina, alive, wet water village. They invaded it, butchered it, and burned it down. I do not touch now. Do not visit. I live somewhere else now. I do not know where that is.
In hundreds of interviews with homeless women over the course of 13 years, only one woman was not sexually abused as a little girl or raped as a young woman. For most of these women, home is a very scary place, a place they have fled. The shelters are ironically the first places many have ever found safety, protection, or comfort. This is one woman's story as she told it. What isn't in the story is that the fact that this woman met another woman in the shelter, and they fell in love. And through their love, they both got out of the shelter system.
Memory, December 1965, 5 years old. My mama tells me in a scary, loud, life-threatening voice to stop scratching my coochie snorcher. I become terrified that I've scratched it off down there, that I do not touch myself again, even in the bath. I'm afraid of the water getting in and filling me up, so I explode. I put Band-Aids over my coochie to cover the hole, but they fall off in the water. I imagine a stopper, a bathtub plug up there to prevent things from entering me. I sleep with 3 pairs of happy heart pattern cotton underpants underneath my snap-up pajamas. I still want to touch myself sometimes, but I don't. Memory, 7 years old. Edgar Montaigne, who is 10, gets angry at me and punches me with all of his might between my legs. It feels like he breaks my entire self. I limp home. I can't pee. My mama asks me what's wrong with my coochie snorcher, and when I tell her what Edgar did to me, she yells at me and tells me to never let anyone touch me down there again. I tried to explain. He didn't touch it, Mama. He punched it. Memory, 9 years old. I play on the bed, bouncing and falling, and impale my coochie snorcher on the bedpost. I make high-pitched screaming noises that come straight from my coochie snorcher's mouth. I get taken to the hospital and they sew it up down there from where it's been torn apart. Memory, 10 years old. I'm at my father's house and he's having a party. Everyone's drinking. I'm downstairs alone playing with and trying on my new cotton white bra and panties that my father's girlfriend gave to me. Suddenly, my father's best friend, this big man Alfred, comes up from behind me and pulls my new underpants down and sticks his big, hard penis into my coochie snorcher. I scream, I kick, I try to fight him off, but he already gets it in. My father's there then, and he's got a gun. And there's a horrible loud noise, and then there's blood all over Alfred and me. Lots of blood. I feel that I'm sure my coochie snorcher has finally fallen out. Alfred is paralyzed for life, and my mama doesn't let me see my father for 7 years. Memory, 13 years old. My coochie snorcher is a very bad place. A place of pain, nastiness, punching, invasion, and blood. It's a site for mishaps. It's a bad luck zone. I imagine a freeway between my legs, and I am traveling far away from here. Memory, 16 years old. There's this gorgeous 24-year-old woman in our neighborhood, and I stare at her all the time. One day, she invites me into her car. She asks me if I like to kiss boys, and I tell her that I do not like to do that. Then she says she wants to show me something, and she leans over and kisses me softly on the lips with her lips, and then puts her tongue in my mouth. Wow. She asks me if I want to come over to her house, and then she kisses me again and tells me to relax, to feel it, to let our tongues feel it. She asks my mama if I can spend the night at her house, and my mother is delighted that such a beautiful, successful woman has taken an interest in me. I'm scared, and I can't wait. Her apartment is fantastic. She's really got it hooked up. It's the 70s, the beads, the fluffy pillows, the mood lights. I decide right there that I want to be a secretary just like her when I grow up. She makes a vodka for herself and then asks me what I want to drink. I say the same as she's drinking, and she says that she doesn't think my mama would like me drinking vodka. I say, she probably wouldn't like me kissing girls either. And the pretty lady makes me a drink. Then she changes into this chocolate satin teddy. She's so beautiful. I always thought other ladies' bull daggers were ugly. I say, you look great. And she says, so do you. And I say, but I only have this white cotton bra and underpants. Then she dresses me slowly into another satin teddy. It's lavender like the first soft days of spring. The alcohol has gone to my head now, and I'm loose and ready. There's a picture over her bed of a naked black woman with a huge afro. She lays me out slowly and gently on the bed, and just our bodies rubbing makes me come. Then she does everything to me and my coochie snorcher that I always thought was nasty before. And wow. I'm so hot, so wild. I get crazy wild, and then the phone rings, and of course it's my mama. I'm sure she knows. She catches me at everything. I'm breathing so heavy, and I try to act normal when I get on the phone, and she asks me, what's wrong with you? Have you been running? And I say, no, Mama. exercising. Then she tells the beautiful secretary to make sure that I'm not around any boys, and the lady tells her, trust me, there are no boys around here. Afterwards, the gorgeous lady teaches me everything about my coochie snorcher. She has me play with myself in front of her and teaches me all the different ways to give myself pleasure. She's very thorough. She tells me to always know how to give myself pleasure so I never need to rely on anyone else. In the morning, I'm worried that I've become a butch because I am so in love with her. She laughs, but I never see her again. I realized later that she was my surprising, unexpected, and politically incorrect salvation. She transformed my sorry-ass coochie snorcher and raised it into a kind of heaven.
Here is an outrageous fact. This is from The Technology of the Orgasm by Rachel Mates, and it's been updated to show current research. It is illegal to sell vibrators in Alabama. If you are caught with the intent to sell, it is up to a $10,000 fine and 1 year in the county jail, or state-mandated hard labor. It is totally legal to sell guns in the state. We have yet to hear of a mass murder committed with a vibrator.
We've created a map of vagina-friendly areas. Welcome, Butte County. In our author's research, she found that they are wild for vaginas in Pittsburgh. In fact, a woman from Pittsburgh was so obsessed about a particular word, a pejorative word, used to describe the vagina. Her mission was to reconceive the word.
I call it cunt. I've reclaimed it. Cunt. I really like it. Cunt. Listen to it. Cunt. See. Cavern. Cackle. Clit. Cute. Come close. Closed inside. Inside. Then you. Then curvy. Then inviting shirt skin. Uniform. Under. Up. Urge. Ugh. Ugh. You. Then. N. Then cun. Snug letters fitting perfectly together. N. Nest. Now, nexus, nice. Nice. Always depth. Always round in uppercase. Cun. Cun. N. Jagged, wicked, electrical pulse. Then soft and warm and cun. Cun. Then T. Then sharp, certain, tangy, T. Texture, take, tent, tight, tantalizing, tensing, taste, time, tendrils, tactical, tell me, cunt, tell me, cunt, 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 cunt,
A 6-year-old was asked, if your vagina got dressed, what would it wear?
Red high tops and a Mets cap worn backwards.
If it could speak, what would it say?
It would say words that begin with a V and a T. Turtle and violin are examples.
What does your vagina remind you of?
A pretty dark peach. Or a diamond I found from a treasure, and it's mine.
What is special about your vagina?
Somewhere deep, deep inside, it has a really, really smart brain.
What does it smell like?
Snowflakes. Sex workers have a rich, compelling, complex relationship with their vagina. This particular woman has blown us away. She was a sex worker, but she only did sex work with women.
The woman who loved to make vaginas happy. I love vaginas. I love women. Women pay me to dominate them, to excite them, to make them come. I did not start out like this. No, to the contrary. I started out as a lawyer. But in my late 30s, I became obsessed with making women happy. It began as a mission of sorts, but then I got involved in it. I got very good at it. Kind of brilliant. It was my art. I started getting paid for it. It was as if I'd found my calling. I wore outrageous outfits when I dominated women. Lace and silk and leather. And I used props. Whips and handcuffs, rope, dildos. There was nothing like this in tax law. There were no props, no excitement, and I hated those blue corporate suits. Although, I do wear them from time to time in my new line of work, and they serve quite nicely. There were no props in corporate law, no wetness, no dark, mysterious foreplay, no erect nipples, no delicious mouths, but mainly, there was no moaning. Not the kind that I'm talking about, anyway. This was the key, I see now. Moaning was the thing that ultimately seduced me and got me addicted to making women happy. When I was a little girl and I would see women in the movies making love, making strange orgasmic noises, I used to laugh. I got strangely hysterical. I couldn't believe that big, outrageous, uncovered sounds like that came out of women. Oh, I longed to moan. I practiced in front of my mirror, on a tape recorder, moaning in various keys, various tones. But always when I played it back, it sounded fake. But it was fake. It wasn't rooted in anything sexual, really, just in my desire to be sexual. But then, when I was 10, I had to pee really bad once on a car trip. It went on for almost an hour, and when I finally got to pee in this dirty little gas station, it was so exciting, I moaned. I moaned as I peed. I couldn't believe it, me moaning in a Texaco station in the middle of Louisiana. I realized then that moans are connected with not getting what you want right away, with putting things off. I realized moans are best when they caught you by surprise. They came out of this mysterious, hidden part of you that was speaking its own language. I realized that, in fact, moans were their own language. So I became a moaner. It made most men anxious. Frankly, it terrified them. I was loud, and they couldn't concentrate on what they were doing, and then they'd lose focus, and then they'd lose everything. We couldn't make love in people's homes. The walls were too thin. I got a reputation in my building, and people stared at me in contempt in the elevator. Men thought I was too intense. Some called me insane. I began to feel bad about moaning. I got quiet and polite. I made noise into a pillow. I
learned to choke my moan, hold it back like a sneeze. I began to get headaches and stress-related disorders. I was becoming hopeless when I discovered women. I discovered that most women loved my moaning. Importantly, I discovered how deeply excited I got when other women moaned, when I was responsible for other women moaning. I made love to quiet women, and I found this place inside them, and they shocked themselves in their moaning. I made love to moaners, and I found a deeper, more penetrating moan. It was a kind of surgery, a kind of delicate science, finding the tempo, the exact location of the moan, the home of the moan. That's what I called it. Sometimes I found it over a woman's jeans. Sometimes I snuck up on it, off the records, quietly disarming the surrounding alarms and moving in. Sometimes I used force, but not violent, oppressing force. More like dominating, I'm gonna take you someplace, don't worry, lay back and enjoy the ride kind of force. Sometimes I found the moan before things even started, when we were eating salad or chicken, just casually, right there with my fingers. Here it is, like that, real simple in the kitchen, all mixed in with the balsamic vinegar. Sometimes I used props. I loved props. Sometimes I made the woman find her moan in front of me. I waited, stuck it out until she opened herself. I wasn't fooled by the minor, more obvious moans. No, I pushed her all the way into her power moan. There's the clit moan. The vaginal moan. The combo clit and vaginal moan. There's the almost moan. The right on it moan. The elegant moan. The gray slick moan. The wasp moan. The Jewish moan. The African American moan.
Oh, shit!
The Irish Catholic moan.
Please forgive me! Please forgive me!
The mountaintop moan.
Yole, yole, yole.
The baby moan. The doggy moan. The uninhibited, militant bisexual moan. The machine gun moan. The diva moan. The college moan.
I should be studying. I should be studying!
And finally, the surprise triple orgasm moan.
This piece was performed for some time without any mention of birth. It was a bizarre omission. But then again, a male journalist asked, "What's the connection?" Our author, Eve Ensler, was present for the birth of her granddaughter. She was in awe of vaginas before that, and she is in deep worship now.
I was there when the vagina opened. We were all there, her mother, her husband, and I, and the nurse from Ukraine who had her whole hand up there in her vagina, just turning and feeling and speaking to us casually as if she was turning on a loaded faucet. I was there in the room when her contractions made her crawl on all fours,
made unfamiliar moans leak out of her pores, and still there, after hours, when she just suddenly screamed, wild, her arms striking the electric air. I was there when her vagina changed from a shy, sexual hole to an archaeological tunnel, a sacred vessel, a Venetian canal, a deep well in which a tiny child was stuck, waiting to be rescued. I saw the colors of her vagina. They changed. Saw the bruised, broken blue, the blistering red, the gray pink, the dark. Saw the blood-like perspiration along the edges. Saw the yellow, white liquid, the shit, the clots, pushing out of all the holes, pushing harder and harder. Saw through the hole the baby's head, scratches of black hair. Saw it just there behind the bone, a hard, round memory as the nurse from Ukraine kept turning and turning her slippery hand. I was there when each of us, her mother and I, held a leg and spread her wide, pushing with all our strength, pushing and pushing, and her husband sternly counting 1, 2, 3, telling her to focus harder. We looked into her then. We couldn't get our eyes out of that place. We forget the vagina. All of us. What else would explain our lack of awe, our lack of reverence? I was there when the doctor reached in with Alice in Wonderland spoons, and there as her vagina became a wide, operatic mouth singing with all its strength. First, the little head, then the gray flopping arm, then the fast swimming body swimming quickly into our weeping arms. I was there later when I just turned and faced her vagina. I stood and let myself see her all spread, completely exposed, mutilated, swollen, and torn, bleeding all over the doctor's hand who was just calmly sewing her there. I stood, and her vagina suddenly became a wide, red, pulsing heart. The heart is capable of sacrifice. So is the vagina. The heart is able to forgive and repair. It is able to change its shape to let us in. It can expand to let us out. So can the vagina. It can ache for us and stretch for us, die for us, and bleed us into this difficult, wondrous world. I was there in the room. I remember.
Our last monologue of the evening is a bit of a change from what you've heard so far. We at Butte College feel it is important to openly speak about all genders, sexes, and sexualities openly whenever we can. Here is a not-so-happy fact about men. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, suicide was the 7th leading cause of death for American males in 2015. While women are 1.2 times more likely to attempt suicide than men, men are nearly 4 times more likely to die from it. Suicides represent half of all violent deaths worldwide. Why is this? Groups of young men were asked which of 5 emotions they feel the most comfortable expressing and which they can't express. Consistently, young men said that anger and happiness were the easiest emotions for them to express. Affection, sadness, or fear? No way, they said. Real men can't show those. So, we would like to share this monologue, written by Kyle Guante, to help men and those assigned male at birth when they feel like they are expected to be a real man.
10 responses to the phrase man up. 1. Fuck you. 2. If you want to question my masculinity, like a schoolyard circle of curses, like a sword fight with lightsaber erections, save your breath. Because contrary to what you may believe, not every problem can be solved by growing a pair. You cannot arm wrestle your way out of chemical depression. The CEO of the company that just laid you off does not care how much you bench. And I promise there is no light beer in the universe full-bodied enough to make you love yourself. 3. Oh, man up. Yeah, that's that new superhero, right? Mild-mannered supplement salesman Mark Mann says the magic words, man up, and then transforms into the 5 o'clock shadow. Massively muscled, deep-voiced, leather jacket-wearing man who defends the world from, I don't know, feelings? 4. Of course. Why fight to remove our chains when we can simply compare their lengths? Why step outside of the box when the box has these badass flame decals on it? We men are cigarettes, dangerous and poisonous and stupid. 5. Ever noticed how nobody ever says woman up? They just imply it. Because women and the women's movement figured out a long time ago that being directly and explicitly ordered around by commercials and magazines and music is dehumanizing. When will men figure that out? 6. The phrase man up suggests that competence and perseverance are uniquely masculine traits. That women and non-binary people, not to mention any man who doesn't eat steak, drive a big truck, or have lots of sex with women, are nothing. Nothing more than background characters, comic relief props. More than anything, though, it suggests that to be yourself, whether you wear skinny jeans or rock a little eyeliner or drink some other brand of light beer or write poetry, it will cost you. 7. So how many boys have to kill themselves before this country acknowledges the problem? How many women have to be assaulted? How many trans people have to be murdered? We teach boys how to wear the skin of a man, but we also teach them how to raise that skin like a flag and draw blood for it. 8. Boy babies get blue socks. Girl babies get pink socks. What about purple? What about orange? What about green? What about cerulean? Black, tie-dye, buffalo plaid, rainbow. 9. I want to be free to express myself. Man up. I want to be able to have meaningful emotional relationships with my brothers. Man up. I want to be weak sometimes. Man up. I want to be strong in a way that isn't about physical power or dominance. Man up. I want to talk to my son about something other than sports. Man up. I want to be who I am. 10. No.
Done.